reality is online shopping just hasn't adapted in 30 years. I'm sorry, but we probably have different tastes. I mean, just on the basis of
well, I mean, do tell. Like, maybe we don't. Like, I do
I'm
a lot of
liking
shopping.
the sweater you wore. I don't know if someone picked it out, but like...
Thank you, Phoebe Gates. Thank you. Thank you. All right, welcome to a new episode of Opening Bid Unfiltered. I'm Yahoo Finance Executive Editor Brian Sozzi. Special guest here, someone who I've actually never met in person, but in some bizarre way, I feel like I know her and I've watched her grow up. That is Phoebe Gates, co-founder of Phia, the Burnouts podcast. You got a lot going on.
It's been honestly really exciting. Well, first of all, I'm super honored to be here. Phia is a shopping application where as you're shopping, you click on us and we tell you, honestly, should you buy the item or should you not buy the item? So it's been really exciting to see the traction this past year with my co-founder from Stanford.
Why did you create this business? What is the backstory on it?
Honestly, we were the roommates who were literally sitting in our dorm room for hours, like going through Depop, going through The RealReal, going through Poshmark, like trying to find the best item. And it was archaic. I mean, the reality is online shopping just hasn't adapted in 30 years. I mean, the fact that you and me, and I'm sorry, but we probably have different tastes. I mean, just on the basis of
well,
gender.
I mean, do tell. Like, maybe we don't. Like, I do a lot of
I'm liking
shopping.
the sweater you wore. I don't know if someone picked it out, but like...
Thank you, Phoebe Gates. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
If we go online shopping, like you and I should not have the same experience on Nike.com, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just on the basis that you probably have way bigger feet than I do. We're different genders, we're different sizes. And so this idea of like, why don't we actually have a personalized shopping experience that's as fun as in-person shopping is crazy to me. And so we wanted to start with something that actually wasn't recreating the flow that consumers go on, but basically just making it easier. So doing all the research of, okay, does this item have good reviews? If you go running with these shoes, you know, are the soles going to wear out fast? Is it going to hold value over time? Is it a good brand? What's the material quality? So first compiling all of that research to instantly do that work for you. And now we're starting to move into actually being the first destination in our app that consumers go to when they want to start shopping.
You're a little bit of a style icon for your gen. I'm just saying, and it's not because you complimented my sweater. Did you follow your passion here? Is that part of it?
Honestly, I mean, I don't think that's a great question. I think for me, honestly, I was really interested in going into an industry that I felt hadn't been innovated in so long. I mean, the reality is, like, I was at Stanford during an incredible time. I was so blessed, right? I grew up in Seattle. I was, born to my parents, Melinda and Bill. I got to see, technology and the huge effects it has on the world for reshaping all of society. And then I go to Stanford during this time where we're really seeing this giant boom and rise of not only AI, but specifically while I was there, like the rise of verticalized agents. So I mean, like companies like Harvey that are literally just an agent for legal tech. And when we were looking at that, me and my co-founder, Sophia, who were roommates at the time, we kept thinking, well, this is kind of interesting. No one's investing in the actual consumer experience for how we do shopping. Particularly, we know fashion shopping is very social and very based on, social commerce and also what is deemed as valuable within society. Why isn't someone actually making a verticalized consumer layer for that experience? And I think that's really where we saw a giant white space and opportunity for us to dive into. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to be the best at, creating a shirt or designing a new design. I definitely love fashion, but I also find it an incredibly intellectually stimulating problem. And I think the other reason is that we are the consumers we're building for, right? Like me and Sophia know what's going to go viral. We know what product's going to work because we're building it for ourselves. I mean, as I said, we were solving this pain point manually before we built Phia.
Is your plan, like, actually, let me go this way. I've had the opportunity to talk to your mom and dad, and after these conversations, I've gotten smarter. Like, in the limited time that I've had with them, what did you take from them to apply, like, starting this business from the ground floor in terms of how you hire, how you think about technology?
That's a great question. I honestly think I've learned so much from both of my parents, right? Around management principles. From my dad, I've really learned that your team is the core of what you're building, right? You can't do anything without an incredible team. Your job shifts as a founder, really, when you're in the seed stage. It's like you're doing everything. You're in the weeds. And now my job, at the Series A has changed quite a bit where it's like, okay, how do I actually hire best-in-class talent? How do you motivate best-in-class talent? And how do you scale them to continue growing with the business and to have them leverage tools like AI to supercharge their their workflows. So I think really from both of them, both my mom with her management experience and my dad's experience with Microsoft, I learned a lot about, team management over time.
What is how much money have you raised so far?
We have now raised, we raised about like 43 million.
Holy cow. I just remember, you just launched, what, 10 months ago?
We did officially launch 10 months ago. I feel like a lot of people think it was an overnight success, but me and Sophia, since we were sophomores at Stanford, have been trying to think of different startup ideas and what we would build together. When we originally met, I was actually pre-med and she was pre-law, and neither of us thought we'd ever do a company together, but it became this kind of fun thing where, unfortunately, instead of socializing on the weekends, we were building these side projects. And eventually, after one of our classes at Stanford, we actually got a grant from one of our professors. And that's when we were like, there is a huge opportunity here to come to New York and to build this full time.
What has the pitch process been like when you've been out there raising money? Like, take us inside that a little bit.
It really depends on what stage you're raising. I mean, I don't wish on my worst enemy seeing my first pitch, right? Like, it's a learning curve and a learning process. I think the biggest thing is there is so much great material online for how to do pitching, how to really convey the problem statement that you're solving as a business. And the biggest thing you have to realize is like you're getting on the phone oftentimes with, a venture capitalist who doesn't have the kind of expertise you have about your space. So if I'm saying to them, well, the consumer economy is the lifeblood of America, or hey, women are spending this much time cross-shopping across sites. There's a huge demand for this product. They don't know that, right? Because they're not in the business every single day. And so the faster you can convey, first at the seed round, you have to tell the story of, okay, here's the giant problem, here's the market size, here's how we're planning to solve it. But once you get to Series A, it's like, hey, here's the problem, here's how we're solving it, here's clear data that shows that we actually are solving this, and here's our traction as a company. And now we're going to take your capital, and here's what we're going to do with that capital to now get to the next stage of the business. And for us, that's really about, frankly, we raise capital because we know we can run this business very efficiently. I mean, we've 11x'd revenue since we launched just 10 months ago. But the reason we raise is because top talent is expensive, and we want to incentivize the best machine learning engineers and general engineers to come work at Phia and reimagine the way that we shop.
What's your go-to interview question for these folks you're hiring?
I stole this from another founder, but asking people, how much do you think California State spends on healthcare? And do a bottoms-up approach for how you would build that out.
Actually, I don't know that answer off the top of my head. I
don't either, but like you ask them, and I'll ask that for every single role. I'll ask that for sales, I'll ask that for marketing, I'll ask that for engineering, because it shows you how like a random question like that, how someone goes through like a logical approach to solving that question. And you can, it doesn't need to be, I stole that from the Deal founder, but it doesn't need to be, California's healthcare budget. It can be something like that. Another thing is always ask salespeople, what's the craziest thing you've done to close a deal? That teaches you a lot about how far they'll go, how dedicated they are to do something. One of the best answers I've ever gotten was from someone who said, they kept emailing someone and they wouldn't respond, and then eventually they started emailing them stuff about their favorite sports team. They found out that person loved the sports team, and then that's how they got in the door and got their original sale there. So that's been a really good question for me on the sales side and for people working on the brand partnership team. And I mean, now with AI, you can really get best-in-class young talent and supercharge them to move really fast.
Not to sound like a total dumbass here, but why does Target do what you do? Like, that company needs some help. Like, can you help them out?
I think we're very different from Target in the sense that we're not a store, right? We're your agent for shopping. So Phia literally sits in your browser, and our CTA is literally, should I buy this? So whether you're on Target, whether you're on Tory Burch or Veronica Beard, you click on Phia and it tells you instantly like, okay, yes or no, you should not buy this. This is worth the price. It's going to hold value. No, it's not. Does it have good material quality? What are the reviews? What is this looking like on other consumers? Based on your past purchases, is this the right size for you to buy? And so we're really, we're really doing all of the research and work for you. And then when you come back into the app, that's where we're taking, okay, now we know your preferences, so we can say, hey, here's the best recommendations for you. We know that Phoebe's obsessed with blazers and she's shopping for her board meeting next week. So here's a curated editorial of blazers that we know she'll love. We know she likes secondhand. We know what condition secondhand she likes. So we're going to surface some of those to her here in this editorial, and really making it kind of the experience that you would get from like a personal shopper or personal assistant who's helping you with that journey.
So these folks you're hiring, you got capital, you got more humans coming to the business. What's the product roadmap?
The product roadmap really for us is going from being that last trusted the product roadmap for us is really going from being that trusted agent in your browser that you use, okay, I want to buy this blazer. I'm going to ask Phia, should I actually buy this blazer or not? Into what we've already seen immense traction for, and what people truly want is they want to go to Phia to start that shopping journey and say, hey, okay, Phia, now, you have my closet, you have what I'm interested in. What is, my daily drop? What is my Phia personal shopper curating for me based on both my values, tastes, and interests? And then eventually showing you, what your network is shopping and having, shopping become fun again. So I'd really say moving for us from being like a tool to really like a full end-to-end agent that helps you through discovery to that decision process in shopping.
What would a $100 million capital raise mean for you? Like, what would you do with all of that?
Invest in talent.
Yeah.
I honestly think for us, the reality is like our cogs are tiny, right? A business like us couldn't have existed 3 years ago because we store over 300 million items. We built out our own search algorithm. So we're relying on our own, in-house models. We are able to run this business very, very effectively and for very cheap. And the only real capital expenditure we have, which is frankly, in my mind, the best capital expenditure to have, is incentivizing best-in-class talent. So if we raised $100 million, we would, again, be hiring for the best talent. Now, I think it's a little different. Like, we don't need to actually raise that much capital because at that point, I think you get also like misaligned incentives.
Yeah. COGS, cost of goods sold. I used to be an analyst. Sorry, I'm such a nerd. I'm enjoying this conversation. Hang with us, Phoebe. We'll be right back here on Opening Bid Unfiltered. All right, welcome back to Opening Bid Unfiltered here, having a fun chat with Phoebe Gates, enjoying her new business. It is fascinating to listen to you talk about what you're up to. So what, in many respects, you are a tech entrepreneur, and I think you are really on the cutting edge of where so many different things are going in retail and technology. What is your thought about like agents? Like, we are in this era of agents. Are we just going to be an agent-led economy?
I'm really excited about agents, and I'll tell you why. I think a common misperception is that agents are actually going to replace the human. And the reality is that no. When we're leveraging agents within our workflow, particularly at our company, it's about, okay, how can we take you out of the monotonous work that doesn't need your time? So for example, if we're spinning up, if we're spinning up a new secondhand store to get them in editorials at Phia, how can my agent coordinate all of the email communication, figuring out a time for us to meet, figuring out, doing research on, what the partner actually needs? Are they looking for new customers? Are they trying to target a certain demographic of users? All of that pre-research, all of that scheduling, all of that should be completely automated by an agent. And then really using your time and your human capacity for the things that actually matter, where you can show up and actually do the human-to-human connection, where you can actually learn from your customers. I really think of agents as supercharging us to take away from work that you don't need to be involved in and giving us more time back to actually have the human connection.
I had a crazy conversation. It was with the CEO of Superhuman, who now they also own Grammarly. He said, Brian, you're essentially just going to manage 100 agents. Is that where we're headed? Like, I'm not going to manage humans. Like, I'm just going to manage these 100 agents, and I'm going to just assign them tasks every day.
For certain workflows, 100%. For, let's say, for example, take, for example, the Burnouts podcast, right? When we're recording like a long form version of that video, we then have a video editor who's going to, break that down. Eventually that will all be automated by AI, and then taking that into smaller clips that then get promoted across like different social channels or posted. It then, learns what consumers actually are interested in and then deletes all those clips of me yapping about goodness knows what. But in terms of actually, okay, you're going to have no humans on your payroll and you're just going to be paying agents, I don't think that that is true, because you still need people who are running certain divisions and building out new things. And if you're on the frontier of what you're building, you're always going to need to have people around the table.
What drives you? I came in here with just notes on you, like nothing. Really, I'm just listening to you. Like, what motivates you to do this?
I think, honestly, I have been so incredibly blessed with the life that I have been given, and I have so much privilege that I want to take that and do something. I want to build something new. I want to create something of value. I want to bring talented people around the table at Phia and invest in, their growth and their future of building, an incredible company culture. So I'd say for me, really, the chip on my shoulder is not only proving myself, but building something, novel and unique that consumers actually love.
What advice would you give to that young entrepreneur that is listening or watching this and see your story and like, I want to create something like that. How do they find success? How do they go about raising $43 million?
Well, I'll back up and say, okay, my first piece of advice is that it doesn't just happen overnight, right? It's not like I woke up one day and was like, ooh, let's go raise $43 million. It started with, 14 different ideas that were absolute failures that me and Sophia tried.
Like what?
One of our original ideas was literally a smart tampon. Very quickly, we realized we weren't the right people to build that.
I don't know if I can ask a follow-up on that. I'm just gonna let it flow out there in the ethosphere. Smart tampon.
There are a lot of really interesting things we looked into. I mean, electric cruise ships are really exciting.
Electric.
Yeah, I mean, but you have to think of kind of the ikigai chart of are you the right person to build this? Can it actually make money? Is this a viable business? And number 3, does society actually need what you are building? And so for a lot of those ideas, it was okay, yes, this can be a viable business. And yes, maybe society definitely does need electric cruise ships. Are we the person to build that? Absolutely not. I'm not a mechanical engineer. I don't have expertise there. So that I'm not the right person to build this. I think going back and how I would start, well, first of all, my biggest piece of advice that I would say just blanket, no matter where you are in entrepreneurship, is that all entrepreneurship is stacking failures upon failures and learning, okay, if that pitch didn't go well, that user hated our product, instead of taking that as, oh, wow, okay, I'm the worst, now I'm just going to go be sad, it's actually stacking those rejections on top of each other and on top of each other to, okay, is there something to learn there? Was that just not the right investor for you? Do they not have expertise in your space? Or do they actually point out a really good problem that you have with your business that you need to go figure out how to solve? Or was your pitch not good? And why wasn't it good? How are you going to redo the deck for next time in practice? Or was that not my target consumer? Or was their feedback actually super applicable? I'll give one example. When we first built Phia, me and Sophia spent so long building it for desktop. And originally, it's there in your browser. We both had the website and it would immediately tell you what you should buy. And we'd showed it to friends and family and they're like, oh, this is awesome, Phoebe and Sophia, you're doing so great. And then we were like, okay, you know what? We should probably get together some people that don't love us and get their feedback on it. And so we brought together a group of, I want to say it was about, 20 women the first time. And they were all like, yeah, but I would never shop on desktop. And of course, we started to do some research and realized the real traction for shopping for, our generation, women in particular, is really on Safari. So wow, okay, we need to rebuild this entire funnel and start the product all over again. Yeah. So I'd say my biggest piece of advice would be to talk to customers long before you actually start building. If we had sat down and understood, okay, yes, these are their pain points in shopping, but before we even got into that, how do they actually shop? What device are they using to shop? That would have saved us months and months of time. And then after that, I'd really say once you have, I would create an initial version of your product, particularly if it's a software product. You can do so much now with these AI coding tools. Build an initial version. Get 100 people if you can by cold emailing. I've cold DM'd so many people, cold LinkedIn outreach. Get people on it and see if you can get...
So you're cold reaching out to people on LinkedIn?
I probably message about 40 people a day on LinkedIn.
Wow.
Yeah.
The hustle is real. Does the exit at some point, is that part of your drive, or you don't even think about something like that exit moment for a company like Phia?
Honestly, for me, my primary motivation is, right, I have a chip on my shoulder to build something generational that has no ties to, me, my privilege, or my last name, right? That's truly an excellent experience for consumers where you want to come to Phia to start your shopping journey because, wow, we can remake online shopping and we can actually make it delightful in a way that's consumer first and not just, hey, why don't you open up, 100 different tabs on Google Shopping that are all ads driven. For me, I'm less driven by, a financial exit or something like that. And I want to build this, frankly, for the next 30 plus years of my life. So my dream when I think about an exit is, either continuing to, have the company continue to be successful for a long time or taking it public.
How do you run a board meeting like a boss?
We have had our first several, really official board meetings. So I wouldn't say I'm the best expert on this. I mean, we're a Series A company, so it's different at every stage. But I mean, a board meeting is really about just a health check for the business. What's your scorecard? How are you doing on your user growth? How are you doing on revenue? How are you doing on, the ML infra that you're building out as a team or whatever it is for your, let's say you have a car wash, checking in on the exact same things that you have for your business. How's your headcount? How's your revenue? How are your customers? Are you actually growing? And actually being honest with investors and saying, hey, this is what's going really well. Here's where we exceeded expectations. And here's where we need to focus in on. And here's our plan. We now like advice on our plan from you guys. A lot of times, venture capitalists and investors particularly, they're not in the day-to-day of the business. So they're not going to be helpful of like, oh, should you launch that marketing campaign or is that the right hire for you? Where they have way more context than any founder does is like, okay, should you expand to an international market? Should you open, 10 more car washes in, downtown Chicago because there's a bunch of demand there? Should you be thinking about investing in this new business line? Should you acquire this company? Those kind of like strategic questions I think are really important for when you do have a board meeting, because that's where they know way more than you do.
Just sitting here next to you, guys, Phoebe's really in it. She is passionate about this business. Like, how do you handle feedback as a passionate founder?
Ooh, it depends what kind of feedback. I mean, honestly, I think a lot of being a founder is like this balance of ego, right? You have to have enough ego to be crazy enough to say, this is going to work against all odds and I'm going to keep going. And then you have to have, a small enough ego that when someone insults your product, you actually have to listen to it and say, wait a minute, we should probably fix that. And my feature idea was not correct. Users do not want that. And we need to try this other path. And so I think it really depends. I mean, if it's someone in my target demo, if it's a woman who loves to shop, who's in that age range, of 20 to like 45, where our core customers are, I take it to heart and I write it down. I mean, we have an entire feedback tracker where we track, negative feedback that we're getting. We host over 40 power users at our office every single other week, and get feedback. And the most important thing we ask them is, you can tell me you like our app, like that's great, but that doesn't actually move us forward. If you roast it and you tell me what you hate, that really helps us build a critical roadmap to improve this thing for you.
Two more for you. How do you create an amazing podcast? What is your secret sauce to doing this?
I honestly think it's about adding value for the audience, right? For me and Sophia, the reason we wanted to start the podcast was, frankly, there wasn't a podcast like ours that existed. When we were first starting the company, I was really interested in particularly where are, female entrepreneurs talking about what it was like when they were first starting the business. I think with a lot of podcasts, you get things like, founders who've already IPO'd or sold the business kind of going on a victory lap and saying like, hey, check out all this amazing stuff I've done. And that's awesome, but it's not actually useful to people who are at the beginning of their journeys, right? And so we wanted to create a podcast, frankly, selfishly for ourselves and for other people to learn, okay, what did these people do actually at the beginning? What were their first failures? How did they actually learn from them? And for us, it was about, okay, can we create an actual community around this? And can we kind of open source those learnings to our community and create value there? And so it was a lot of learning, kind of the same way we have done with Phia, is like, did this episode provide value to our audience? Did they learn from it? Did we actually learn and then apply the advice we got in that episode either to our lives in general or to how we're building the business or thinking about, growing our team? And so I think it's really about, okay, if you're starting a podcast, what is your niche that doesn't exist in the market today? And then are you actually providing people with value?
Last one, and there's probably no way to even think about it or you come up with, there's no right answer. Like, where do you see yourself in 25 years? I was thinking about this before I was coming to this. I'm like, wow, you're going to have an interesting few decades, my friend.
I would love to continue to be on the forefront of agentic commerce, building Phia alongside my co-founder. And I'd also love to be turning around, at that point in my career and investing particularly in young female entrepreneurs as well.
Phoebe Gates, I think you're cool as hell, and I appreciate you coming down to Yahoo Finance headquarters, talking to us about your business. Don't be a stranger. Keep raising that money. Keep driving those agents. It was really good to see you. And follow Phoebe on Instagram. Listen to her podcast. I mean,
go download Phia.
Yeah,
it's free.